the rules and regulation all are same, but still those who are new to this session, let me just tell you, we'll be having certain amount of question in the MCQ format, where we'll tell you we'll ask you the question, you have to answer the same. After that, after each question, we'll tell you how you need to approach that particular question along with the explanation. So I will definitely appreciate if each one of you will participate. Also, it's a free live mock, so avail this opportunity at large. Also, in the end of the session, we'll declare our top 3 winners for this session. So today, as a quiz organizer, again we have with us Miss Hemavathi S Shekhar. She is an advocate and founder at ENACT. So I welcome you, ma'am, again. And without any further delay, let's start with our quiz live mock.
Hi, thank you, Anu. As usual, excited to be here. I hope you're all doing great. Let me start sharing my screen.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you all see the slides?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay. So we're going to be doing human rights, and when I talk about human rights today, it will be both at the international level and the national level. We'll try and cover the international aspects first, and then we'll move on to the national human rights legislation. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. And just one thing, I just wanted to know how many time limit, like for one question.
Okay. Is it okay if I just tell you after I read the question, or just before? Because some questions might need more time and some very less, okay?
Yes. Yeah, one more announcement, small announcement. As usual, first you need to mention the question number along with the answer, and 2 answers you are not supposed to give for one question. So that is rules and regulations. So ma'am, yeah, we are good to go. Let's start.
All right, thank you. So the first question, the UN Commission on Human Rights was established in 1946 by General Assembly, Security Council, Economic and Social Council, and International Court of Justice. 45 seconds.
Yes, time starts now. We have 15 more seconds to go. And time's up.
All right, the correct answer is 3, the Economic and Social Council. Okay, one important thing you have to note is that there was a commission of human rights that was established initially by the Economic and Social Council. They were primarily involved in the creation. However, right now, this has been replaced by the Human Rights Council. Please remember, it was the commission initially from 1946 to 2006. Then from 2006 onwards, we have the UN Human Rights Council, where the Officer of High Commissioner of Human Rights is appointed. This is again similar to the Commission. It's an intergovernmental body in the United Nations system. This came into being because they felt that the Commission was not doing enough in the human rights context across the world. So this replacement happened. Okay, please remember, it was a commission and now it is a council. All right, we'll go to the next question. Which of the following statements is or are correct? Under its terms of reference, the UN Commission on Human Rights was directed to prepare recommendations and reports on A, an international bill of human rights, B, international conventions or declaration on civil liberties, the status of women, freedom of information, similar other matters, C, protection of minorities, D, the prevention of discrimination on the basis of race, sex, language, or religion, and other matters concerning human rights. Okay, 1 minute. Let them read all this.
Right now. Yeah, participants try to answer this question. Fifteen more seconds to go. And time's up.
All right. The correct answer is 4. Okay. Now, the idea behind, especially when the Human Rights Commission came into being, there were so many themes that they wanted to talk about, in terms of basic human rights, like self-determination, racism, the right to develop yourselves. And they also looked into all the incidents that were happening across the world. What was, should we protect the fundamental freedom of citizens and in their violations? And, we have two kinds of human rights, at least in the basic larger level, your civil and political rights and economic, social and cultural rights. So in all these cases, there were so many themes that were developed. So in this particular case, all the things that spoke about, like, you have declarations, international bills, protection of minorities, discrimination, all of these were under the terms of reference. So 4 is your correct answer. All right. Okay. Next question. Which of the following is the composition of the International Bill of Human Rights? A. Universal Declaration of Human Rights. B. International Covenant of Civil and Political Rights. C. The International Covenant of Economic, Social and Cultural Rights. D. The optional protocol to the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. Let's give them 45 seconds.
Your time starts now. Fifteen more seconds to go. And time's up.
All right, the correct answer is 3, which basically refers to all 4 of them. When we do refer to the International Bill of Human Rights, UDHR, that is the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, came into being in 1948. And the international covenants, okay, remember they usually club these words, these two covenants together and call them the international covenants. Initially, it was only the first 3, that is A, B, and C, that were considered the International Bill of Human Rights. And then later, optional protocols came into being, and they were also, added. This is just understanding of what are the most important human rights conventions that are in place internationally. All right, this was again a question in the December 2019 paper. All right. Now, we have another simple question. Which of the following articles of UDHR 1948 deals with civil and political rights? 45 seconds, Vikram.
Right, your time starts now. 15 more seconds to go. And time's up.
All right. The correct answer is 2, that is Articles 3 to 21. Okay, so when you actually open up and read the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, there is no chapterization like you see in our legislation or statutes, right? When you read any legislation, you always see chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, and under that you have sections. But under UDHR, you don't have something like this. So how do you exactly identify what are these rights? So this is basically through understanding what the human rights are, and then they are recognized either as civil and political rights or economic, social and cultural rights. So for you to, this is just an example or a trick, easier way to remember in the context of Indian Constitution, which we all, usually study. Most of our fundamental rights that we talk about are all civil and political rights. And everything as a matter of question or substance or a subject matter in the directive principles of state policy, most of them, if you can attribute it to a right to a citizen, then they all usually come under economic, social, and cultural rights. Okay, so this is just a trick in terms of how you can try and remember what falls under civil and political rights and economic, social, and cultural rights. So what happens is this UDHR in Article 1 and 2 sets the tone of what they are, what they're supposed to be. 3 to 21 is civil and political rights. 22 to 27 is economic, social, and cultural rights. 28 to 30 are, few procedural aspects. Okay. Now, the fifth question. This is a very simple one, more like a GK question, though. The UN Commissioner for Human Rights is appointed by General Assembly, Security Council, Secretary General, Human Rights Council. 45 seconds.
Your time starts now. Fifteen more seconds to go. And time's up.
All right. The correct answer is Secretary General. So the Human Rights Council is a different thing altogether, but every Human Rights Council has the UN Commissioner for Human Rights. Okay, he's basically considered like the head for the council, and Secretary General is considered a sort of like the president in India. We have the Secretary General for the United Nations, a head of sorts. So he is the one who actually appoints the UN Commissioner for Human Rights. Okay. Now, we have a couple of years and a couple of, declarations, the establishment of the council. You probably know one already since two of them since I spoke about them. So please try and match the following. We have Human Rights Council, UDHR, ICCPR, and World Conference on Human Rights, and we have the years for them. Let's give them 1 minute.
The time starts now. So, seventh question. We don't have
Yes.
sixth question.
Oh, I must have misnumbered it.
It's okay, no problem. Participants, 15 more seconds to go. And time's up.
All right. The correct answer is 2, which is 2, 3, 4, and 1. Okay, the Human Rights Council, like I said, was established in 2006, replacing the UN Commission for Human Rights. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights is again 1948. ICCPR, okay, the governance we usually use, because it's a really long name, it's usually called ICCPR or ICESCR. ICCPR was in 1996 again, and the World Conference on Human Rights was in 1993, pursuant to which India signed the agreement, and we also established the National Human Rights Commission, and also came up with the Human Rights Act for our country. Okay. Now, this is one unique question that came in December 2018 in a question paper. Okay, first was Lawless versus Ireland was the first case decided by the European Court of Human Rights. Second, Ireland versus United Kingdom is related to Article 3 of European Convention of Human Rights, which deals with freedom from torture and inhuman or degrading treatment. 3, UN Commission on Human Rights was replaced by Human Rights Committee in March 2006 by General Assembly. 4, the Commission on the Status of Women is a functional commission of the Economic and Social Council established in 1948. This was a question in the previous paper, so please try and answer it. Let's give them 1 minute.
Right. Your time starts now. More seconds to go. Participants, try to answer. And time's up.
All right, the correct answer is 2. Only 1 and 2 are correct. Okay, so if you notice, I already mentioned this to you guys that it was the council. Here in the third part, they call it a Human Rights Committee, although the year is correct and there's commission. It's the Human Rights Council, not the committee, so it is wrong. Then fourth one, the Commission on the Status of Women. Let me just get to the cases first and probably talk about it. Lawless versus Ireland. It is a very old case. What happened is, again, the first case. That is what the question talks about. It was the first case decided by the European Court of Human Rights. Now, the guy's name is Lawless, okay, Gerard Richard Lawless, who was an IRA member. What happened was he was arrested, and when he was about to travel from Britain to Ireland, he was detained. Now, he filed a case against the government saying that, the European Convention on Human Rights, Europe as a whole has a convention on human rights. And he said Great Britain violated Articles 5, 6, and 7, which basically spoke about rights to liberty and security, fair trial, and principle of no punishment without a law. So in this particular case, because of the detention, he felt all these 3 articles were violated, and this was the very first case that Lawless filed against the British government for the same. Okay. Now, second part was Ireland versus United Kingdom is related to Article 3 of the European Convention on Human Rights. Now, in this particular aspect, we have Ireland. So ECHR is the European Court of Human Rights. They basically look at cruel and unusual treatment, which is considered as torture under Article 3. And that is what happened when it came to, both Ireland and United Kingdom are, under the purview of European Commission of Human Rights. That's when Ireland filed a case against United Kingdom for the activities that were taking place. Okay. Now, the third one we basically spoke about, the Commission on Status of Women is a functional commission of the ECOSOC and established in 1948. The problem here, why is it not correct, is because it was in 1946 and not 1948. The other facts are correct. It is only the year that is wrong. So please try and remember this Commission on Status of Women came into being in the year 1946. Okay, let's go to the next question. This is particularly, I don't know how I can, help you prepare for this, but okay, let's go with the question first. Human dignity is the quintessence of human rights. This has been stated by Justice V. Krishna Iyer, Justice J.S. Sharma, Justice Kuldeep Singh, for Justice Ranganath Mishra. This was a question in the December 2019 paper. Let's give them 45 seconds.
Your time has already been started. Few more seconds to go. And time's up.
All right, the correct answer is 2, which is Justice J.S. Verma. So just on reading the question, you might assume this is from a judgment, which is usually the case in the exams. Unfortunately, it was not, especially in the question paper last time. So this was a lecture that he delivered in a memorial lecture, which in 2002 on human rights, the sense of constitutional governance, and it is in this lecture he made the statement. So this is more like a GK question, but helps to remember since it is also a question that came in the past year question paper. All right.
Yes.
Okay. Next. So I've completed the international aspect. So what you might have observed is they only concentrate mostly on the Universal Declaration or the International Bill of Human Rights. So whatever comes under the International Bill, please try and just study the years and in which they came into being. And there will be a couple of other conventions that talk about women or minorities or disabled people. All these come under themes of the Commission, like we previously discussed. Just know the names of these conventions and the years in which they came into being and what is the context in which they regulate the international human rights law. Okay. Apart from that, just know a little bit about the Human Rights Council that is being, that currently works instead of the Commission on Human Rights. Please remember, because it could always, if you don't read the question properly, like the previous question, everything was correct, but it was just the word committee, and you could go wrong and lose marks. Okay, let's start off with the Human Rights Act. And the first question is, human rights are defined in which of the following sections of the Protection of Human Rights Act 1993? We have 2A, 2B, 2C, 2D. This was a question in June 2019 question paper. Let's give them 45 seconds.
Yes, your time starts now. Few more seconds to go, participants. Try to answer. And time's up.
All right, the correct answer is 4, 2D. Okay, we have another question. Like, this was another question specifically on this definition. It says Section 2D of the Protection of Human Rights Act 1993 defines human rights means the rights relating to blank of the individual guaranteed by the Constitution or embodied in the international covenants and enforceable by the courts in India. Fill in the blank. Life, liberty, equality, dignity, life, equality, liberty, dignity, life, equality, dignity, liberty, life, liberty, dignity, equality. November 2017 had this question. Let's give them 1 minute for this question, please.
Right. Your time is started. Ten more seconds to go. Time's up.
All right, the correct answer is 1, life, liberty, equality, dignity. It must be difficult to just remember them in order, but might as well help because this is the definition of human rights. This is what it says. Human rights means the rights relating to life, liberty, equality, dignity of the individual guaranteed by the Constitution or embodied in the international covenants. Now, like I mentioned previously, when I mentioned international covenants on human rights, which is a part of the Bill of Rights, right? It constitute these both International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights and the International Covenant on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights adopted by the General Assembly. Now, this could also include, when we talk about human rights, if we have anything that falls under the purview of international covenants, they will also become a part of human rights. Let's say we spoke about, when we spoke about the international bill, they mentioned about an optional protocol that was associated with the civil and political rights. So in that particular case, because it's here it says, and such other covenant or convention adopted by the General Assembly, even the optional protocol, even though it's not mentioned specifically, it will become a part of the international covenant when the central government gives it out or adopts it through notification. All right. Okay. Please, whenever you study, remember the definition of human rights. It's the most important thing you have to study. Okay. Now, this is moving on to the sections in the Human Rights Act. We have this question: which one of the following pairs is correctly matched with regard to the National Human Rights Commission of India under the Protection of Human Rights Act 1993? We have Section 3, appointment of chairperson and other members. Section 4, removal of a member of the commission. Section 5, member to act as chairperson in certain times. Section 6, term of office of members. Now, this is again a question from November 2017. Can we give them 1 minute?
Right. The time starts now. 15 more seconds to go, participants. Try to answer. And time's up.
All right. The correct answer is 4. Okay. Section 6, term of office of members. Okay. So it basically means all the rest section combination is incorrect. So section 3 basically talks about Constitution of National Human Rights Commission. Section 4, appointment of chairperson and other members. Section 5, resignation and removal of chairperson and members. Section 6, term of office. Okay. I would suggest that when you read the Human Rights Act, if it is not possible for you to read the sections as a whole, at least you'll see that trend, because all the questions I refer to here are past year papers. You'll see that they will pick out the heading of the section and put it in the match the following box, where you'll have to match all of them based on the section number. Okay. Now, this is a simple question, mostly general knowledge. Let's try this. The National Human Rights Commission was established in India on 22nd November 1993 to 2nd October, 25th November, 2nd December 1993. This was a question in December 2018, and let's have 45 seconds.
45 seconds. Okay, your time starts now. Okay, time's up.
All right, the correct answer is 2nd October 1993. Sorry, there's a mistake in the typing. It's 2nd October. Anyways, it is established under the Human Rights Act, and now we also have an amendment. I thought it was important for us to know an amendment that came into being, especially after the Human Rights Council, came into being. And we also have something called the Paris Principles. And pursuant to this, again, they were endorsed by the General Assembly. General Assembly is the main body for the UN. So Paris Principles discussion happened. General Assembly adopts all of these discussions through resolutions so that they become enforceable in nature. And they basically, NHRC is basically concerned, and they look at, how we can promote and protect human rights in India. So it's like the commission for human rights concerns, where you have to go to under the Human Rights Act. Okay. Now, this is a question again regarding the commission per se. This was a question in July 2018. Find out which of the following statements are correct. A, you have the chairperson of the National Human Rights Commission shall be who has been Chief Justice of Supreme Court. B, the chairperson and the other members of NHRC are appointed by the President of India after consultation with Prime Minister. C, chairperson and other members of NHRC are eligible for reappointment. D, chairperson and other members of commission can be removed on recommendation of Law Minister of India. So you'll have to identify which one of these is correct. Let's give them 1 minute.
Yes, your time starts now. Also, we have few more questions left, so we'll see if you're answering. We have few more seconds. And time.
All right, the correct answer is 1. Only A is correct. The chairperson of National Human Rights Commission shall be who has been Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. Okay, before we get into the discussion, I want to show you the BEAR Act and help you go through it. But let's try and answer this question, and then we'll go to the thing. This was a question in December 2018. Again, which of the following statements are correct? The chairperson and the members of the State Human Rights Commission shall be appointed by the president under his hand and seal. The chairperson or the member of SHRC may be by notice in writing under his hand addressed to the governor resign his office. 3. The President of India may by order remove from office the chairperson or any other member as the case may be if adjudged as an insolvent. 4. On ceasing to hold office, a chairperson shall be eligible for further employment under the Government of India. So please choose whichever you think is correct, and let's give them one more minute.
Right. Your time starts now, participants. Ten more seconds to go, participants. Try to answer question 15. Time's up.
All right, the correct answer is 1. Only 1 and 2 are correct. Okay, this is about the State's Human Rights Commission. Let me just open this.
Ma'am, which option is correct? Question number 15?
Question number 15, 1.
Okay,
Only
second and third is correct.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, can you all see this? I'm sharing the BEAR Act.
Yes, ma'am.
Right now?
Yes.
Yes. So when you're studying the human rights, I'd suggest that at least in terms of this, if you don't have time, please try and remember how the flow of sections go so that you can remember what section might fall in what range of numbers. So because I'll show you a couple of questions. We actually have 3 questions that came over a period of 3 years. Every year you have one question that relates to section number and what the section says. So please go through it like this. First, we have the National Human Rights Commission, then we have their functions, procedure, then we have the State Human Rights Commissions. After that, we have the Human Rights Court, then Finance, Accounts and Audit, miscellaneous. So it starts off with the National Human Rights Commission, what they do, what they're supposed to do, how will they do it, then the State Human Rights Commission. Okay, so please, if not the sections, please have a look at this. Okay, now when we go to the National Human Rights Commission, this is again a very important question section that you will have to remember. So now, like we mentioned, they just picked up all these statements and then changed or made amendments to these statements from the BEAR Act and put it, and you'll have to identify whether something is correct or not. So what was correct? When we looked at it, a chairperson who has been the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. That is how it works. Member can be any judge of the Supreme Court, and another member has been the Chief Justice of the High Court. So you always have the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court at the highest level as a chairman for National Human Rights Commission. Okay, so if you're not, so when there has been one question where they've asked the term of people who have been appointed as chairman and members. So might help to learn who has been appointed as the chairman of and the members of the National Human Rights Commission. Okay, now this is, please read section 3 for this, and then 4 talk about appointment, then resignation and removal, and then term of office. We spoke about this previously. Correct, identify the correct section number and what the section talks about. So it would help for you to just have a look at this. Then I'd like to go to section 21, which basically talks about Constitution of State Human Rights Commission. Again, chairperson who has been the Chief Justice of the High Court. So please remember, National Human Rights Commission, Chief Justice of the Supreme Court; State Human Rights Commission, Chief Justice of the High Court. Chief Justice of the High Court can be a member in the National Human Rights Commission as well. Okay, but please remember the flow of sections because they're very, very important for the exam. Okay, now let me go back to the questions. Like I just spoke to you about, they just mentioned what these commissions do, or in terms of appointment removal. They've taken it up and they've just amended it. Only A was correct. We just read chairperson will be the National Human Rights Commission person. Now 15 here, they spoke about chairperson and members of State Human Rights Commission appointed by President. Who are they appointed by? All these questions after section 21 are discussed in the Act. Please go through them and have a brief idea. Okay, now this is another general knowledge question, but it was in the November 2017 UGC NET paper. Which one of the following pairs is not correctly matched with regard to the duration of position of the members or chairpersons of National Human Rights Commission of India? Okay, we have Justice Rajendra Babu from 2007 to 2009, KG Balakrishnan 2010 to 15, Fatima BV 1993 to 1997, and Justice V Malimat 1994 to 1998. Let's give them 1 minute for this, please.
Your time has already been started, participants. Ten more seconds to go. Yes, Dheeraj, you can answer this question, of course. We are on live mock. And time's up.
All right, the correct answer is 4. They're asking who is not correctly matched. Let me just try and tell you. Malimat, he was supposed to be from 1994 to 1999, whereas the question says it's 1998. Although I personally find it a little unreasonable to expect us to remember all of this, it might help to, remember who all were the chairperson and members. All of these people were not necessarily chairpersons, but it was also referring to members. So it would help to at least go to the Human Rights Commission website. This is where I found the information, and have a look at it. Have a basic idea and try and remember if possible. Okay. Now, this is what I was talking about. These are the kind of questions that is repeated in the UGC papers in the last 5 exams, basically. Okay, we have section numbers. First is Constitution of National Human Rights Commission, Constitution of State Human Rights Commission, Functions of National Human Rights Commission, Procedure of the Commission. Okay. Like I just mentioned to you, these chapters, it starts off with NHRC, then you have functions, then you have procedure, constitution, all of these. So identify the flow and then probably try and answer this question with a probability of what these chapters talk about. Okay, let's give them 1 minute for this question.
Yes, allotted. Please try to answer. This is second last question, participants. Make your guesses. Yes, ma'am. Time's up.
All right, the correct answer is 4. It's 3, 4, 2, 1. Okay, which is basically Human Rights Commission is section 3. Then you have State Human Rights Commission, I just mentioned, section 21. Functions of National Human Rights Commission, again, is section 12, and then procedure is section 10. Right, this was a question in July 2018. Okay, these are the ones. I just copied it from the index that I just showed it to you. Okay, we have another question. This is again on the later sections of the Act. This was a December 2018 question, which is basically constitution of special investigation team, power of central government to make rules, protection of action taken in good faith, and members and officers to be public servants. You have section 37, 38, 39, and 40. Please try and match them. Let's give them a minute for this question.
1 minute?
Yeah.
Yes. Your time started. Last question, participants. Five seconds to go, participants. And time's up.
All right, the correct answer is 1. It's 3, 4, 2, 1. Okay, which is basically in this order. Constitutional Special Investigation Team is 37, 38, protection of action in good faith, 39, members and officers to be public servants, power of central government to make rules. Okay, now ideally, remember, this is another little suggestion from my end in terms of rules and all these aspects that are dealt with. These generic sections are present in every legislation that we have. So they usually come at the end in the miscellaneous part. So it would be helpful if you knew this general aspect, so that you might have, been able to identify the last section would have been this thing. But I'd like to just go back to this so that, you get a sense of, now that you've read a couple of questions, now just understand how it works in the Act. Just identify. It might be difficult for many of you to remember section numbers, so I would suggest you go with the flow and then identify. Like now, like I said, miscellaneous aspects, they are basically here. Okay, all these questions that we had from 37, 38, 39, 40 came from the miscellaneous sections. So please never imagine that only the first few sections which talk about establishment of commissions, importance and functions are the important sections of an Act. You might be surprised in your next exam. So please ensure that you go through the whole Act and go prepared. All right? Yeah, I think, we're done with all the questions right now. If you have any questions or doubts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Participants, if you have any question, we have 𝘨𝘪𝘊𝘴. He's raising his hand. So wants to ask, if you wanted to ask question, you can ask your question. Yes, please unmute yourself. Or you can also write in a chat box or Q&A anywhere. Okay, if you do not have any questions, so let me just announce our today's winners for this quiz. And thank you, ma'am, for organizing such a wonderful quiz. Right. Yes, we got a suggestion from Jagannath. Okay, he's saying that it's a very good session. We need to provide a gap between, mock tests. Okay, of course, Jagannath will try to. Ma'am, so let me just take a moment to announce our today's winners. So at I'm going to announce three names, of course. So third position has been secured by Akansha Munde. So congratulations, Akansha. On second position we have Pankti Anand, and on the first position we have Jagannath. So congratulations participants, and just try to increase your score. It's just score is less, but you tried, and I appreciate my participants that they tried. So this was a declaration of winners, and if now anybody having doubt, so they can ask. Also please share your feedback with us on the scale of 1 to 10. Dheeraj, if you wanted to ask question, you can. You have to unmute yourself. If anybody having a doubt regarding the preparation or something, so they can ask.
Okay, ma'am, we do not have any questions as of now. So let's sign off this session. If you wanted to add something to this session, ma'am.
Yeah, I hope the session was helpful, and congratulations to all those winners. Good luck.
Right. Thank you, ma'am, and thank you for joining with LawSikho, and thank you participants for joining this session. Uh, yes, Jagannath is asking if possible, ma'am, can you tell how many questions from subject, each subject?
Can we have Jagannath speak the question out? I don't really understand what he's trying to ask.
Yes, Jagannath, could you please either ask directly or you can rephrase your question? Okay.
Okay, the number of questions in each question paper. As far as I did my research, I tried to cover all the questions in the past 5 exams that happened UGC NET. So December 2019, June 2019, December and June 2018, and November 2017. And usually they're about 2 to 3 questions. And there was one exam which had 5 questions. I've tried to remove the repeated questions. I've tried to ensure that each question was unique so that we can cover a maximum syllabus. But at the maximum, once, I think twice, there were 5 questions each, both covering the international human rights and the national human rights aspect. I hope that answers your question.
Hi, ma'am. I'm audible, ma'am.
Sorry? Yes, you are.
Yes, you're audible.
Ma'am, my question is that how many questions will come from each subject, ma'am? Like that, IPC will have some 8 questions, or jurisprudence have.
Please unmute yourself.
Ma'am, no, I'm audible, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, just my question is that how many questions will come from each subject, ma'am? Like that, the jurisprudence will come from 10 questions, like that, ma'am. How many questions?
Okay, for now I can really answer for human rights and maybe environmental laws, because those are the sessions I've conducted, or maybe contracts as well. So all these 3 subjects have had a maximum of 5 questions because we have 100 questions and so many topics. So human rights specifically, a maximum of 5, but a minimum of 2 questions. And if there are 2 questions, they're usually concentrated on the National Human Rights Act. So yeah, but I think it would be wise to just go through the previous year question paper and note down, which which subject each question falls under, so that you can also know how much weightage is given to each subject.
Right. I hope Jagannath has got his answer.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jagannath. So now we'll sign off. It was a wonderful session. So thank you, ma'am, and thank you, participants, for joining. Now I'll sign off. Anu Bhatnagar, Webinar Executive. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.